Late-breaking, investigative. This is KCTV5 News at noon.
New information this afternoon on the two officers accused of inappropriate behavior during a traffic stop.
It started out as a police chase, but the driver wasn't the only one arrested.
Residents are getting the all clear to return home after the massive explosion that rocked the East Bottom.
You've seen the video, and today a police investigation is supposed to be completed into a case of police officers accused of inappropriate behavior during a traffic stop.
Today there are questions about their status on the force. KCTV5's Matt Stewart is live with our big story. Matt?
Carolyn and Chris, there's a lot of speculation today as to whether those two Kansas City police officers will be terminated for refusing to get medical attention for a pregnant woman. Well, the internal investigation is completed, and now Chief James Corwin will have until February 20th to make a decision. But Human Resources Manager Doug Wisher told me this morning that he was told that these officers will be terminated and are being given a chance to resign, though as of this hour they have not, and police officials deny that any decision has yet been made regarding these officers' fate and say that they are still on paid suspension. Now, the officers in question, Kevin Schnell and Melody Spencer, are seen in the dash cam video that was shot February 6th of last year. They had pulled over 32-year-old Sophia Salva for traffic violations and outstanding warrants. Now, she complained of bleeding, said she was pregnant, and requested medical attention well over a dozen times during the 30-minute stop. She was sent to jail instead of the hospital, and she had a miscarriage the next day. Now, she has filed a lawsuit against the police department. Now, again, police officials say that Chief James Corwin has not yet made a decision regarding their fates as to whether they will be terminated or not. He has a week and a half to go over all the evidence and make his final decision. In the meantime, those officers will continue to be on paid suspension unless they decide to resign. Reporting live here from downtown Kansas City, I'm Matt Stewart for KCTV5 News.
A police chase in KCK ends in a crash, but it turns out the driver wasn't the only one under arrest. KCTV5's Sandra Olivas is live with that story. Sandra?
Well, Carolyn, I'll tell you in a second a little bit more about that arrest, but first let me tell you how it all started. KCK police got a call about a burglar inside of a house, and they started chasing that burglar here down the highway off of 635 and I-70, where the suspect lost control of his car. Take a look. This is the burglar's smashed-up getaway car. Police say it rolled at least 3 times and that the suspect was thrown out of the car, landing 30 feet away. But the injured man still wasn't willing to give up. He actually made a run for it into the woods before 2 KCK police officers caught up with him. They say his face was bleeding. He had possibly a broken arm, so he was taken away in an ambulance. Troopers that I talked to say that he's lucky to be alive considering how bad the crash was.
The adrenaline probably had him not feeling the pain of his injuries and continued on running.
I just can't believe he kept on going after being thrown from a car.
Yes, ma'am. I can't tell you, like I said, it's probably his adrenaline, but obviously he needs to wear his seatbelt. Anything, he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing, but, that's what happens when you do bad things.
Now, here's the other bizarre element to the story. This man is the suspect's brother. He got a call from someone about the chase. He immediately showed up. Police started searching him, and they found what appeared to be a small bag of marijuana. That's the bag right there. They also say there was possibly some stolen computer equipment in his car. So needless to say, they took him into custody as well. They're not sure if he was involved at all in the burglary at that house. They're still involved in the investigation, but of course, we'll let you know what happens. Reporting live here off of 635 in KCK, I'm Sandra Olivas for KCTV5 News.
A 69-year-old woman who was tasered by police 2 years ago in a scuffle has been convicted of shoving an officer and resisting arrest. Back in June of 2004, Louise Jones was following a slow-moving police car in her Kansas City neighborhood. Jones honked her horn and pulled into her driveway, which caused police to question Jones. That led to a scuffle involving a taser after they threatened to write her a ticket. Jones has also been fined $650.
The official all clear has been given now for folks who are displaced by the massive chemical plant explosion and fire in the East Bottoms. KCTV5 Sophia Wharton joins us live now with the latest. Sophia?
Hello, Carolyn. That is good news, especially for the last people. There were about 6 homes that still were not being let into that evacuation zone. They just looked at that about 20 minutes ago, and you can see everything is all clear. We're here on Chestnut Nicholson, and Montgall. You can see they still have emergency crews down there. That's because they're treating the fire. And this morning, they took us closer to the area so we could see exactly what the fire department is doing to make sure that this fire stays under control and doesn't spark up again. Crews are here at Nicholson and Garland, continuing to spray the hot zones with water. They're keeping it cool and contained so that any other sources of fuel burn out or drip out in a controlled manner. What they say is they have a series of little fires that are burning sort of like campfires, but they are under control. Residents of the 5-block perimeter were allowed back in last night just before 9, except for about 6 homes. Those 6 homes were allowed in this morning. And despite the explosion that we had yesterday, unexpectedly, fire officials say that things now are well contained today.
I believe we're good. I don't think we'd be down here operating, or neither would we have let the residents back in and the businesses back in if that were a concern. You never want to let your guard down. You don't want to take things for granted.
Fire officials this morning also passed out flyers to try to help residents with instructions on how to deal with debris. But as far as what we've been able to see, there really isn't too much of a film of soot or anything around any of the houses or on the cars, so that seems to have dissipated into the air. What I can tell you from being down here is there is a slight smell of paint thinner in the air, so a little bit of odor, but really nothing to be concerned about. Reporting live in the East Bottoms, I'm Sophia Wharton, KCTV5 News.
A suspected carjacker took aim at 2 police officers last night. Started at 10th and Washington when 2 officers spotted a car that was just reported carjacked. During a chase that followed, the suspect actually rammed into one of the cruisers. The suspect was quickly captured after he ran away. No one was seriously hurt during that incident. We're still waiting to learn the identity of a man killed in a fiery highway crash. Witnesses say the driver of a semi rear-ended an elderly couple on I-435 at the I-35 split yesterday before hitting 3 parked trucks, then slamming into a hill. The rig was torn apart and burst into flames. The semi-driver was killed. Everyone else is expected to recover.
Right now, Kansas City police are searching for the person who was with 2 men when they were gunned down last night. This is an update to late-breaking news we brought to you last night at 10. Police tell us the men were sitting in a car at 67th and Myrtle around 8 o'clock when a white SUV pulled up alongside and opened fire. The victims then stumbled from the car, and the third person sped off. If you have any information on this crime or know who that third person may be, call the TIPS hotline. Raymore police arrested this woman, Crystal Wisnowski, after she passed out behind the wheel of her car at a McDonald's drive-thru. Even more disturbing, her 7-month-old daughter was in the back seat. Now she's cited for driving under the influence and endangering the welfare of a child. Police say the child was strapped into the car seat itself, but wasn't fastened to the car. Now she's free on bond.
Well, it'll go down in the history books as an official dusting of snow today, with trace amounts falling this morning. Now, we're not done with the snow yet. There's a chance we could pick up a little bit more on Saturday, and then maybe a little bit more on Sunday, and another light snow event is expected on Monday as well. But if you add it all up, we could perhaps end up with as much as maybe 3 inches by the time this is all finished up on Monday night. In the meantime, it'll be cold tonight, down to 13, the high tomorrow 26, and again, a chance for maybe a ½ inch of snow to fall on Saturday. Of course, I'll cover this snow event in much more detail in my Storm Track 5 full forecast coming up in just minutes.
Thank you, Gary. New developments this morning in the death of Anna Nicole Smith. A judge has just refused to order an emergency DNA test of Anna Nicole Smith for a paternity suit involving her infant daughter. Gwen Belton is in Hollywood, Florida, with the latest.
Anna Nicole Smith led a sensational life, and her death is no different. This morning, Smith's mother blamed her death on a drug overdose. Evidence was removed from Smith's room at the Hard Rock and may help reveal why the 39-year-old former Playboy model collapsed Thursday. Official word from the medical examiner on the autopsy is expected later today.
Sometimes the findings are very obvious.
Smith's attorney says she had been ill for several days with a fever and was still depressed over the death 5 months earlier of her 20-year-old son, Daniel.
I feel that she just went through a lot of heartache in her life, and it was hard for her to deal with it.
The reality TV star's sudden death has sped up the paternity case over Smith's 5-month-old baby, Danny Lynn. Her most recent boyfriend, Howard K. Stern, is listed as father on the birth certificate and has custody for now.
He wouldn't stand to gain anything from her death. I mean, the only surviving beneficiary or heir of of her estate would be Danny Lynn.
There's an emergency paternity hearing today in Los Angeles. What's at stake? A potential inheritance of millions of dollars, the legacy of her marriage to an 89-year-old oil tycoon. Despite a long legal battle, the fortune is still tied up in the courts. Anna Nicole Smith's tabloid life didn't end with her death. Gwen Belton, CBS News, Hollywood, Florida.
Coming up on KCTV5 News at noon, you won't believe what a mother's accused of doing to her son when he misbehaved at school.
And stopping the spread of HIV maybe getting a little closer.
Plus, it wasn't a goofy mistake that got this man arrested. We have those details straight ahead. You're watching KCTV5 News at noon.